Hi plant friends, I've got an update for you on all the orchids I purchased at orchid shows this year. Phalaenopsis gigantea that I purchased at the Southern Ontario Orchid Show back in February bloomed. Plant friends, this is so exciting. Back in February, this orchid looked a little bit worse for wear. It had a lot of sun damage and it was a little bit beaten up. The vendor parted with this beauty for only $30. I still continued to give this orchid sun, but only morning sun in a south-facing window. I watered this orchid twice a week by placing it in a big bucket to soak for just a few seconds. I soak only for a few seconds since she's in a large pot. I don't want all that bark soaking up a lot of water to rot the roots. I also feed this orchid every time I water it, just a few drops of fertilizer in the water for a very weak fertilized solution. Plant friends, take a look at this. I purchased 2 Kylaquistas and both plants bloomed. It's so rewarding. I water these beauties every day. I try to water them in the mornings. They get a nice soak in the morning so that they'll dry by night. For fertilizer, I like using a weak solution of fertilizer. Just a few drops in the water every week to keep these orchids happy. I find that these orchids like it as bright as possible without giving them any direct sun. Although these orchids require more watering, I find them to be low maintenance, that they're not fussy orchids at all. And I've actually gone on vacation where I've been away for 5 days and come back to them looking just fine. Next, we've got Phal cornu-cervi flava. This one, I have to say I was the most worried about this one because it only had a little nubbing of a root. Look at how much this orchid has flourished. Lots of beautiful roots on this baby. I find that this orchid likes to dry out completely before watering. I also give it a little bit of fertilizer with every watering. When I purchased the orchid, it was already in spike, and I'm surprised that this spike did not blast. It's a sequential bloomer, so it's been giving me flowers all summer. This is a warm growing orchid, so it's enjoyed the heat and humidity of summer, and it's currently working on a second spike. The flowers are fragrant, not as fragrant like a Bellina or a Materializia, just a nice subtle scent. Lupus Grass is a new one. I've never grown this one before, and I've read to keep it moist, and that's exactly what I've been doing, and the orchid's thriving. It's thrown off 3 new pseudobulbs. So exciting to see the new pseudobulbs. I'm hoping they'll produce some blooms. Next is oncidium Twinkle Gold Dust. This one struggled a little bit in the beginning. She actually lost a few pseudobulbs. Luckily, she turned around and started pushing out some new pseudobulbs. The flowers on this orchid is so nice and elegant, so I'm quite happy that she's recovered. Her new pseudobulbs looking nice and healthy, so fingers crossed that she'll bloom in the spring. Tetraspis crossed with Micholitzii is also a sequential blooming orchid. This one's bloomed for me a number of times over the summer. Plant friends, the bloom is spectacular. This is a warm growing orchid, so it's really enjoyed the warmth of this summer. It's pushed out a new leaf while working on those flowers. Those roots are looking really good. This one I also water twice a week. I dunk it in a large bowl for a couple of seconds, and of course there's always a few drops of fertilizer in the water. plant friends, this is my first mini Cattleya. I was surprised at this one. The flower is impressive. It's the Tangerine Mini Sun. If you can get your hands on one of these, I definitely recommend it. At one point I was a little bit worried about this plant. One of the pseudobulbs did die back, but it recovered by giving a lot of roots and a new pseudobulb. I've always heard that Cattleyas like it bright. This one I've been keeping bright, but I haven't been giving it any direct sun. And for watering, I've also been watering this one twice a week. Next is the vanilla orchid. Plant friends, I really underestimated this orchid. It grows quite quickly. I've added it to a moss pole, and of course you can tell this moss pole is a little bit too tiny. She's grown off the moss pole already. It was a DIY moss pole, just a little bit of plastic meshing from the dollar store, some sphagnum moss, and some twist ties. When I water this orchid, I let it soak for a couple of minutes. Unlike my other orchids that I dunk for a couple of seconds, I like to let this one soak in a large tub. The roots, the media, and the moss pole all soak. I definitely need to extend the moss pole for this baby. Next is the pleurothallis bivalvis. This one I was worried about as well. It's a cool growing orchid and I wasn't sure how it was going to fare in my home this summer. She likes it cool and she likes it humid, so at the hottest time of the day I keep her next to a cool mist diffuser. At first I would water this plant every 2 days, but now I've cut back to twice a week. She's also produced this new leaf. No flowers yet, but I'm quite thankful for getting the leaf. This plant blooms from the leaf, so I'm hoping with a new leaf I might get a bloom over the winter. Up next, it's the Sedera Japonica. At first I didn't know what to do with this. This potting setup is quite interesting. It's a pot and a mount, but you know what, plant friends? It works. So far she's given 2 new leaves. When I water this plant, I also give her a bit of fertilizer. Sedera Japonica gets watered once a week, and this one I soak in water, but only that bark area. I wait for the roots to go from green to silver. I like to let this one dry out completely before watering, and once a week is just enough time. This year I decided to try the Bulbophyllum, and so far it's going very well. This plant's produced 2 new pseudobulbs. The new leaf is quite long compared to the older leaf. It's really taken on the trait of the Bulbophyllum Phalaenopsis. I also keep the Bulbophyllum fairly moist. I don't let this one dry out for too long before watering. Since it's summer, I've been able to maintain the moisture with this plant by watering twice a week, but I think once winter rolls around I might need to up the watering to 3 times a week. This one also gets a very weak fertilized solution in the water every time I water. For lighting, this plant is in a south facing room. It's not getting direct sun, but it is very bright. Next we've got Phal Dutch Lady. This one has beautiful white flowers and lovely muddled leaves. This beauty lives in my IKEA cabinet and she's getting about 8 hours of grow light. Based on the repotting schedule, this plant is about 20 years old and she's about due for repotting. Currently I can see a bit of orchid bark in her media, so I'll continue with the same media when I repot her. Plant friends, let's take one more look at the Phalaenopsis gigantea. Thanks for watching, plant friends. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment, and follow me on Instagram at Life of Bellina.